Jason never planned on giving CPR to a billionaire. He was just a broke single dad trying to cash a late check before picking up his kid. The bank wasn't part of the plan. Neither was watching a man in $1,000 suit collapse in front of him while everyone else just stood there. One second, Jason was invisible. The next, he was on the floor with his hands on a stranger's chest, hoping to God he remembered how to count compressions. The lobby froze around him. No one moved. A security guard fumbled with his radio. A woman in heels backed away like the man might explode. But Jason didn't stop. 30 compressions, 2 breaths, over and over. His kid, Leo, sat frozen on the bench, watching his dad fight to bring a stranger back to life. Nobody knew yet. The man gasping under Jason's hands was a CEO worth $500 million, but Jason didn't care about that. He just didn't want to watch someone die in front of his kid. Quick question, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. And hey, if this story makes you clench your jaw, smile, or whisper no way that's Jason Statham, hit that subscribe button. Watch till the end, because what happens next might change how you treat the quiet guy standing behind you in line. Jason was 2 people away from the teller when it happened. A man in a tailored navy suit, mid-50s, silver cufflinks, posture like he ran the building, dropped his phone. Not gently, like it slipped through his fingers. Then he took a step back, staggered, and collapsed onto the marble floor like a tree being cut from the inside. Someone screamed. Another person backed away like the man had exploded. Jason didn't think. He told Leo, "Sit, don't move." Then he moved. The man was on his side, convulsing slightly, eyes rolled back. Jason checked his breathing, shallow, then nothing. "Call 911, he shouted. Now, a woman fumbled for her phone. Everyone else froze. Jason tilted the man onto his back and started compressions. He'd learned CPR in high school, then again when Leo was born. But nothing prepares you for doing it with 20 people watching and a child staring at you with wide eyes. "Come on," he muttered. "Come on, man, breathe. 30 compressions, 2 breaths, nothing, then again." Jason's hands didn't shake. His brain went silent. Just rhythm and sweat and marble echoing every slap of his palms. Someone said, "I think he's gone." Jason ignored them. Then a cough. The man's body jerked once, then again. He sucked in a ragged breath and blinked like he'd just woken from the dead. Paramedics arrived 20 seconds later. Jason stood back, chest heaving, sweat pouring down his back. Leo was still on the bench, jaw clenched, feet still. They loaded the man onto a stretcher. One of the EMTs nodded at Jason. "He's lucky you were here." Jason didn't answer, just nodded and grabbed Leo's hand. They left before anyone could ask his name. That night, Jason sat at the kitchen table with a frozen pizza and a half-drained can of cola. Leo sat across from him, quiet. "Is that guy okay?" "Yeah," Jason said. "I think so." "Did you save him?" Jason shrugged. "I helped." Leo squinted. "That means yes." Jason didn't argue. He looked at the clock. He was late for his second shift. Leo reached across the table and said, "You're like a superhero, a quiet one." Jason smiled. "Superheroes get paid. I'm just a dad." He kissed Leo's head and left the rest of the pizza on the table. By the next morning, his face was on the news. Not a full shot, just grainy security footage of him kneeling over the collapsed man. The ticker at the bottom said the man was Daniel Cordin, CEO of something big, something with too many capital letters and a glass office in the sky. Jason didn't have time to think about it. He had rent due, Leo's lunch to pack, and a busted washing machine leaking onto the floor. He didn't return the calls or the emails until someone showed up at his job. She wore all black, not like a mourner, like a secret. High heels, sharp blazer, tablet in hand. She asked for him by name. "You're Jason Shaw." "Depends who's asking." "Mr. Cordrin would like to meet you." Jason blinked. "The guy from the bank," she smiled. "The guy you brought back to life." Jason looked at his manager, then back at the woman. "I don't have a suit." "Don't worry," she said. "He does." The building had windows taller than his apartment. The elevator didn't make a sound. Jason stood next to the woman as they rose 30 floors in complete silence. The doors opened to an office that looked like it belonged in a movie. One desk, one chair, and a man standing at the window, back straight, suit pressed, hands behind him. He turned. Jason recognized him instantly. The man from the floor, he looked alive, but pale and tired. "Mr. Shaw," he said. "Come in." Jason stepped inside. "You saved my life." Jason scratched his neck. "Just did what anyone would." "Incorrect," the man said. "Most people freeze, you didn't." Jason didn't know what to say. "I'd like to offer you something." Jason raised an eyebrow. "Like a check." The man didn't smile. "Like a job." Jason laughed once. "You don't even know what I do." "You work 2 jobs, one at a shipping facility, one at a late-night diner. You live in a 1-bedroom apartment. You have sole custody of your son, Leo." Jason's stomach tightened. "How do you know that?" "I do background checks on vendors. I wasn't going to skip the man who restarted my heart." Jason crossed his arms. "I'm not looking for charity. This isn't charity. This is opportunity." Jason didn't respond. The man walked closer, slower now, his breath still shallow. "I want someone on my team who understands what it means to act under pressure, to move when others panic. I can't teach that. You either have it or you don't." Jason hesitated. "What kind of job?" "Start with driver, then we'll see." Jason raised an eyebrow. "Driver for what?" "Me." Jason laughed again. "I don't even like rich people." The man didn't blink. "Then you'll keep me honest." Jason shook his head slowly. "I'll think about it." "You'll say yes," Cordin said. "Because if you don't, someone else will take the seat you earned." Jason left the building without shaking his hand. That night Leo asked, "Did the fancy man call you again?" Jason nodded. "He offered me a job. Did you take it?" "Not yet." Leo chewed on that for a moment. "Would it mean we see each other more?" Jason looked at him. "Yeah, I think it would," Leo smiled. "Then take it." Jason stared at the ceiling long after Leo went to bed. The next morning he put on his cleanest shirt, tied his boots, and called the number back. A woman's voice answered. "I'm ready," Jason said, "but I've got one condition." She paused. "Which is?" "My kid comes first, always." The voice didn't flinch. "Mr. Cordrin wouldn't respect you if you said anything else." Jason hung up. Outside, the city buzzed like it always had, too loud, too fast, too rich for men like him. But that day he didn't flinch either. Jason's first day wasn't what he expected. No limousine, no uniform, no clipboard of protocols. Just a black SUV parked outside a steel and glass building, and a man with too much power sitting silently in the backseat, reading a document thicker than Jason's rent agreement. "Drive," Cordrin said. "No GPS, no small talk, just a street name and a tone that left no room for confusion." Jason drove, not fast, not slow, just smooth. His hands were steady, his jaw relaxed. He didn't ask questions. But he noticed things. The way Cordrin checked his watch every 3 minutes, the way his phone never lit up with messages, and the way he looked out the window like he was waiting for something that wouldn't come. For a man who lived above the clouds, he looked lonely. 3 hours in, Cordrin finally spoke. "You don't ask a lot of questions." "I've got enough of my own," Jason said. Cordrin nodded, eyes still on the window. "That's why I hired you." They stopped at a rooftop helipad. Jason waited in the car. A woman in a sharp gray suit stepped out of the building and walked straight to him. "You're Jason." "I am." "Mr. Cordrin doesn't usually hire people without screening. You must have done something impressive." Jason just stared at her. She smiled like someone used to getting her way. "Watch yourself. There are people in this building who like things predictable." Jason didn't respond, just adjusted the mirror and watched her walk away. That night, Jason picked up Leo from school in the same SUV. Leo's eyes went wide. "Is this yours?" Jason smiled. "Borrowed, for now." They ate dinner at home. Rachel's, the little diner where Jason used to work nights, called and asked if he could fill in. He said no for the first time in months. Leo looked up from his mac and cheese. "I like your new job." "Yeah, you look less tired." Jason nodded. I feel less tired. He didn't tell Leo about the money. The starting pay was triple what he made at the warehouse. No paperwork, no contract, just direct deposits and a shadowy email inbox with calendar invites from people who didn't have last names. He was on call, always. But somehow he was also free. The second week, things changed. Cordrin started asking for longer drives, outside the city, off the grid, sometimes without explanation. Jason drove quietly, but he took notes. On Thursday, they went to a gated property an hour north. No signs, no names, just a gate code and a gravel driveway. Cordrin walked in alone and came out 2 hours later looking like he'd aged 10 years. Jason didn't ask what happened. Until Cordrin said, "You ever bury a secret so deep you forget it's still breathing?" Jason glanced in the rear view. "I've buried a lot of things. None of them stayed dead." Cordrin didn't smile, but he looked like he might have wanted to. That night, Jason couldn't sleep. He sat in the living room while Leo snored softly in the next room, the hum of the fridge the only sound. The job was clean. The money was good, but something about it felt borrowed, like he'd been handed a key without being told what the lock held. On Friday, Cordrin handed him a sealed envelope. "Deliver this." Jason looked down. No name, no address, just GPS coordinates and a time, 2 o'clock p.m. sharp. He drove out alone. Country roads, sparse traffic, rolling hills and the kind of quiet that makes you think about your life too hard. At 1:58 p.m., he pulled up to a small house surrounded by trees. A woman answered the door before he could knock. Mid-40s, calm face, no makeup. She looked at him like she already knew who he was. "You're early." "I'm 2 minutes early." "That counts." She opened the envelope. "Read silently." Then said, "Tell him I'll come Sunday, but only if he brings the necklace." Jason didn't ask what that meant. He just drove back. Cordrin didn't ask for a report, didn't even look up from his tablet. 2 days later, Jason saw the woman again in Cordrin's office. She was standing by the window, holding a teacup. Cordrin looked like someone trying not to hope. Jason slipped out before anyone saw him. The next day, Cordrin was different, lighter. Like a string had loosened somewhere behind his ribs. He handed Jason a folder. Background checks. Jason opened it, then stopped. His own name, his old job, his apartment, even Leo's school records. "You're investigating me now. I'm protecting you." "From what?" Cordrin leaned back. "From the kind of power that forgets where it came from." Jason closed the folder. "That's supposed to make me feel safe." "No, but it should make you pay attention." That night, Jason drove Leo to the lake. They sat on the hood of the SUV, eating sandwiches and watching the water ripple. Leo asked, "Do you trust your boss?" Jason said nothing. Leo leaned back. "You don't have to. I trust you." That stuck. The next morning, Jason noticed someone new in the building, a man in a dark suit who didn't introduce himself, always standing 2 feet behind Cordrin, watching. Jason tried to ignore it, until the man followed him to the elevator, said nothing, but didn't blink. Jason reported it to Cordrin. "He's not mine," Cordrin said. "Then whose is he?" Cordrin stood slowly. "That's the right question." The next week, Jason found a second envelope, no label, just left on the front seat of the car. Inside, a photo. It was Leo, at school. Backpack on, taken from a distance. Jason's hands clenched before he could think. He stormed into Cordrin's office. "What the hell is this?" Cordrin looked at the photo, then at Jason. His face went cold. "This wasn't me." "Then who?" "I don't know yet." Jason didn't yell, but his voice dropped low enough to cut steel. "If anything happens to him—" "It won't," Cordrin said. "You have my word." Jason stared at him. "That's not good enough." He left the office before he could say something he'd regret. Leo was fine. At home, safe. But Jason didn't sleep that night. Not because of fear, but because of the shift. Somewhere, someone had stopped watching Cordrin and started watching Jason. The next day, the black-suited man was gone. Cordrin never mentioned him again. That weekend, Jason got another offer. A woman met him in the parking garage. Casual clothes, soft voice. "We know who you are," and we know what you've done for him." Jason tilted his head. "Do I look like someone who works both sides?" "No," she said. "You look like someone who doesn't realize there are more than two." She handed him a card, blank, except for a phone number. "If things change, if you see what we see, call that." She left before he could ask her name. Jason held the card all night, didn't call, but didn't throw it away either. Jason kept the card in his wallet, behind Leo's school photo, where it couldn't stare at him every time he reached for cash. But he hadn't forgotten it. Not when he drove through the security gate each morning, or when Cordrin's voice cut through the car like a scalpel, or when he saw that second shadow always following them, invisible but not gone. He didn't bring it up again. Neither did Cordrin. That was the new agreement. Silence with a little suspicion folded inside. Leo was doing better in school. His teacher said he was more focused. He was sleeping through the night again. He started saying things like, "When we buy a house, and next summer can we fly somewhere?" Like he believed this life might stay. Jason wanted to believe it too, but the feeling didn't go away, the sense that someone else had started writing parts of his story without asking permission. Cordrin was on the phone more lately. Quiet calls, closed doors, names Jason didn't recognize. Then one morning, as they pulled up to the building, Cordrin said, "What do you think of loyalty?" Jason glanced back. "Depends what you're asking. If I offered you more money to keep driving for me and less transparency about why, would you take it?" Jason parked the car and turned around. "I took this job because you gave me a chance. But if you want a driver who doesn't ask questions, maybe you should have stayed unconscious." Cordrin actually smiled. "There it is." That afternoon, the black-suited man returned. No warning, no reintroduction. Just back in Cordrin's orbit like he'd never left. Jason didn't react. But he noted the tension in the air, the way Cordrin's answers got shorter, the way new people showed up on conference calls with muted mics and no video. The next day, Rachel from the diner called. She still ran the place, still left voicemails like she didn't believe texts were real communication. But this one was different. "Hey, you've got someone here asking about you. Says she's from a foundation or a company or something. I didn't give her anything, but you might want to swing by." Jason drove over after work. She was waiting at a corner booth. Black jacket, paperwork already spread out. She looked like someone who knew how to turn charm into leverage. He slid into the booth. "You again," she smiled. "I'm not the enemy, Jason. You're not my friend either." She pushed a folder toward him. "He's under investigation. Quiet for now, but it won't stay that way. You're not a target yet." Jason didn't open the folder. "What do you want? Your cooperation, when the time comes. And what do I get? Protection, clarity, leverage." Jason leaned back. "You think I'm scared of losing this job? I think you're scared of what happens if you don't." He pushed the folder back. "You got the wrong man." She didn't push, just stood and said, "No, I think I've got the right one, just not at the right moment." Jason watched her leave, then opened the folder. Photos, maps, phone records, names he didn't recognize, but Cordrin's initials were circled in red. At the bottom was a sticky note in block handwriting. "The man you saved might not be worth saving." That night, Jason sat on the fire escape, smoking a cigarette he hadn't touched in over a year. He didn't finish it. He went inside, opened Leo's door, and watched him sleep for a long time. The next morning, Cordrin was already in the car when Jason arrived. They drove in silence for 15 minutes before Cordrin said, "There are people in my orbit who think they can outlive me, outlast me." Jason didn't respond. "They're wrong, but they're dangerous." Jason kept his eyes on the road. Cordrin added, "If someone approaches you, anyone, I want to know." Jason gripped the wheel tighter. "And if I don't," Cordrin looked out the window, "then you'll learn what kind of game this really is." Later that week, Cordrin handed Jason a manila envelope without comment. Jason opened it when he got home. It held a single check, 6 figures, no note, just a number and a signature. He stared at it for a long time. Then he called Rachel. "You still know that woman who came to see me? I've got her card in the register." Jason paused. Tell her I want a meeting. The woman arrived at night. No escort, no briefcase, just her in a hoodie holding a coffee like this was just another stop on the circuit. Jason met her in the alley behind the diner. I'm in, he said, but not for money, not for leverage. Then why? Because I'm not going to be the guy who ignores the next red flag, she nodded. When the time comes, I'll call. It came sooner than he expected. 2 nights later, Leo was sick. Fever, shivering, couldn't keep food down. Jason took off work, missed a scheduled drive. Cordin didn't call. Didn't text. But the next morning, someone knocked at Jason's door. It wasn't Cordin. It was a man with a badge and a calm voice. Jason Shaw. Yeah, we need to talk. About your employer. Jason stepped outside and closed the door behind him. What's this about? Daniel Cordin is being investigated for internal racketeering. We have reason to believe he used your name on several falsified security logs. Jason blinked. What? The agent handed him a folder. Times, dates. You weren't present, but your name was. Jason's head swam. I never signed anything. We know. But now you're part of it. Jason rubbed his jaw. Am I being charged? Not yet. The man handed him a card. When you're ready to protect yourself, call that number. Jason watched him leave, then went back inside and locked every bolt. He called Cordin, voicemail. Then the black-suited man showed up, this time inside the hallway. You've been compromised. Jason backed up. You forged my name. You were a liability. Jason clenched his fists. You have no idea who I am. The man's voice was ice. You're a good father. That's all that kept me from removing you completely. Jason swung first. The man didn't fall, but he staggered. Jason grabbed Leo and left the apartment in 30 seconds flat. They checked into a motel. Jason stayed up all night, watching the parking lot. In the morning, the woman from the diner met him in the lobby. It's starting, she said. The whole house of cards, you want in or out? Jason looked at Leo, eating cereal from a styrofoam bowl. I want him safe. Then help us bring it down. Jason nodded. Tell me what you need. Jason didn't sleep the night before the meeting. Leo was curled up beside him in the motel bed, breathing slow, safe. Jason sat in the armchair with a legal pad and a pen he hadn't used since his last job application. No notes, just one word written over and over. Control. By morning, he'd made a decision. Not just to help bring Cordin down, but to do it on his own terms. The woman met him at a warehouse off the river early. Low ceilings, concrete floors, nobody in sight. She had her phone in one hand, coffee in the other. We're wiretapping his calls today. That's your part, Jason frowned. How? You'll plant this, she said, pulling out a tiny device. Bottom of the driver's seat. Jason took it, turned it over in his hand. He's smart, he said. He checks everything. He trusts you. Jason didn't say anything. After this, you walk away, she added. You give us what we need, we keep you out of the blast zone. Jason looked up. What if I want to stay in? She blinked. Why? Because if I just vanish, he'll know. You want him to know. Jason shook his head. I want him to learn. By noon, he was parked outside Cordrin's building. Same routine, same rhythm. But his heartbeat wasn't in it. His eyes kept tracking corners, checking windows. The paranoia was finally mutual. Cordin stepped in like he always did, nod once, no small talk, briefcase on the seat beside him. Jason started driving. 15 minutes in, Cordin spoke. You didn't answer yesterday. I was with my kid. Cordin looked up. He okay? Jason nodded. Fever broke. That's good. Silence again. Then you still trust me? Jason didn't look back. Did I ever? Cordin smiled faintly. I think you wanted to. Jason's hand hovered near the seat control, just long enough to click the bug into place with one quiet tap. The rest of the ride was uneventful. Office, parking garage, same as always. But that night, Jason got a call. We got it, the woman said. It's enough. Enough for what? An indictment, racketeering, money laundering, 2 shell companies with your name on the paperwork. Jason's stomach dropped. My name? We figured it out in time. It won't stick. But if you hadn't helped, he swallowed hard. When? Tomorrow, 6 a.m. He won't see it coming. Jason looked over at Leo brushing his teeth. I need a favor. Name it, if something goes sideways. I want Leo protected. Off-grid, no questions. You've got it. Jason packed a bag that night, just in case. Snacks, charger, copies of birth certificates, and Leo's drawing, the one with the SUV and the three of them standing in front of it. By morning, the sky was slate gray and heavy with wind. Jason dropped Leo off at school like it was a normal day, hugged him a little longer than usual. Are you okay? Leo asked. Jason smiled. I'm great. Then he drove to work. Cordrin was already waiting. Different suit today, tighter around the neck. Like the collar knew what was coming, they didn't speak. Jason pulled into traffic, took the long way, delayed them 15 minutes. At 6:02, his phone buzzed. One word, done. He glanced in the mirror. Cordrin was looking out the window. I ever tell you what it's like to have everything taken, he said. Jason didn't respond. You think power means control, but it doesn't. It means being the last one blamed when the house burns down. Jason took a breath. You burned the house. Cordrin finally looked at him. I thought you were just a driver. Jason met his eyes in the mirror. I thought you were worth saving. Cordrin didn't move, didn't blink. Then blue lights lit up behind them. Jason pulled over. Two unmarked cars flanked the SUV. Agents emerged fast, silent, guns holstered but ready. Cordrin didn't resist, didn't flinch. As they opened the door, he turned to Jason. You know what they'll do with all this? They'll sell it to the next guy. The world doesn't clean itself. Jason nodded. Then I guess I'll keep driving. They took Cordrin away without ceremony. One agent nodded at Jason. You're clear, but you're going to get calls. I'll ignore them. Another handed him an envelope. From him. Said it was personal. Jason hesitated, then opened it. Inside, a photo, Cordrin standing beside a woman and a young girl, both smiling. The same woman from the gravel road, the one who told Jason to bring the necklace. On the back, a note. I didn't know how to say thank you. So I left you what I couldn't save. Jason tucked the photo into the visor of the SUV, then drove home. That night Leo asked, Is your boss gone? Jason nodded. Yeah. Did he do something bad? Jason paused. He forgot what mattered. Leo blinked. Will that happen to you? Jason reached over and mussed his hair. Not a chance. The next morning, Jason woke up to silence. No alerts, no calls, no job. He took Leo to school, made lunch, sat on the steps outside their apartment and let the quiet settle in. At noon, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. You still have the card we gave you, the voice said. Yeah, keep it, in case you ever want to do something bigger. Jason didn't answer, just hung up. He walked to the diner, sat at the counter. Rachel poured him coffee. You look tired. I just slept 10 hours. Exactly. He laughed. First time in a while, she leaned in. You done with secrets? Depends. You offering me one. I'm offering pie. He nodded. I'll take that. That evening, Leo found the drawing taped back on the fridge. Are we okay now? He asked. Jason knelt beside him. We're not rich. We're not famous. But yeah, we're okay. Leo squinted. Can we still get pancakes tomorrow? Jason smiled. Absolutely. Then the doorbell rang. Jason opened it. The woman from the foundation stood there. No badge, no clipboard. I'm not here for work, she said. Jason crossed his arms. So what's this? I wanted to tell you. He asked for you, before the arrest. Said if anything went wrong, make sure you knew he didn't regret it. Jason didn't move, she added. He said he didn't have a lot of real moments left, but you gave him one. Jason nodded. Tell him thanks. She hesitated. You know this isn't over, right? It never is. She handed him one last thing, a key, small, brass, cold in his palm. What's this? Storage unit, downtown, his name, your name, just go when you're ready. She left without another word. That night, Jason sat at the kitchen table, key resting beside his drink. He didn't open the envelope yet, not the one marked with his name. He waited until Leo was asleep. Then he read it, one sentence. For when the road gets too quiet. Jason put the key in his pocket, didn't say a word. just got ready for tomorrow.